Welcome back to another episode with the Killer Archive. Today we are in Rochester, New York, early 1970s, a quiet industrial city beside Lake Ontario. People here worked hard, raised families, trusted their neighbors. It was the kind of place where children still walked to school alone. But that innocence didn't last. In the span of 2 years, 3 little girls vanished, and a city lost its sense of safety forever. November 16, 1971. 10-year-old Carmen leaves her home in Rochester to run an errand for her grandmother. She's last seen near a local pharmacy, a small, brown-eyed girl with a bright smile. When she doesn't return home, her family begins to panic. Hours later, drivers on Interstate 490 report seeing a terrified child running half-naked along the shoulder of the road, waving for help. Some honk, some swerve, but no one stops in time. 2 days later, Carmen's body is discovered in a ditch near Churchville, about 15 miles away. Her initials, CC. The town's name, Churchville, another C. At first, police think it's coincidence, but the brutality of the crime, the way she was taken and left, tells them this is no ordinary murder. The community mourns. Thousands attend her funeral. Reporters fill the streets. The police promise justice, but weeks turn into months, and there are no arrests. Then, in April 1973, another child disappears. 11-year-old Wanda Walkowicz, red hair, shy smile, vanishes while walking home with groceries for her mother. The bags are later found spilled on the sidewalk. The next day, her body turns up in Webster, east of Rochester. The initials again match, WW. Her death mirrors Carmen's, strangulation, sexual assault, and her body left near a rural road. Detectives feel the dread building. They start to wonder if someone is playing a game of names, places, and patterns. 7 months later, it happens again. 11-year-old Maenza disappears while walking home from school. Witnesses see her getting into a beige or tan car, driven by a man in his 30s. 2 days later, she's found near Macedon. Her initials, MM. 3 girls, 3 double initials, 3 towns that share the same letters. Rochester's alphabet murders have begun. By now, panic grips the city. Parents won't let children out of their sight. Police patrol the streets, schools cancel evening programs, and community meetings overflow with frightened families. The local newspaper calls the killer a monster hiding in plain sight. Investigators from the FBI join local authorities. They interview over 800 people, truck drivers, factory workers, delivery men, teachers, anyone who might have crossed paths with the girls. Forensic science in the 1970s is limited. There are no DNA databases, no cell phones, no digital footprints. They rely on tire tracks, hair fibers, and fingerprints, and none of them match. Detectives start to focus on geography. Each victim was found near a highway, close to where truckers often stopped. That leads them to a theory, that the killer could be a long-haul driver, familiar with local routes, someone who knew how to disappear quickly. For months, truck stops around Rochester are watched, drivers questioned, vehicles searched, but nothing solid emerges. Among the suspects is a name that would later terrify California, Kenneth Bianchi. At the time, he's a young ice cream vendor and ambulance driver in Rochester. 5 years later, he becomes infamous as one of the hillside stranglers in Los Angeles. For a moment, investigators think they've found their man. But when DNA testing becomes available decades later, Bianchi is cleared. Another suspect surfaces years later, Joseph Nasso, a photographer from New York who, in the 2010s, is convicted in California for killing women whose names also had matching initials. The coincidences are chilling, but again, DNA rules him out. Decades pass, files yellow, detectives retire, and the case drifts into legend. But in Rochester, no one forgets. Psychologists later describe the killer's behavior as ritualistic, an obsession with symmetry, order, and control. The initials might not be random, they could have meant something personal to him. A trigger, a code, a signature of power. People start to wonder, did he choose them by chance or was he stalking them long before? Each of the girls came from working-class families, lived within a few miles of each other, and attended Catholic school. Each was last seen during daylight, in public, walking a familiar route. Whoever took them was confident, quick, and unafraid of being seen. In the 1990s, evidence from the Walkowicz case is re-examined using new DNA techniques. A partial male profile is recovered from the victim's clothing. It doesn't match anyone in national databases. The technology is limited, the sample too degraded, but it proves one thing. The killer is still out there somewhere in the record, just waiting to be named. For the families, time doesn't heal. Carmen's relatives keep her school photo on the mantle. Wanda's mother dies never knowing what happened. Michelle's classmates grow up with her memory frozen at age 11. They hold vigils every few years, hoping that someone, somewhere, might finally come forward. Reporters who revisit the case describe it as a riddle in plain sight. 3 crimes linked by letters, but nothing else connects. No shared DNA, no common witness, no confirmed suspect. Some believe the killer stopped after Michelle. Others think he moved on, changed his name, maybe killed again in another state under another pattern. Even now, detectives say there is a chance modern genetic genealogy, the same technique that caught the Golden State Killer, could one day solve it. All it takes is one relative, one DNA match, one spark in a database. Until then, the case remains open. Every so often, a detective revisits the files, tracing the same roads, standing at the same ditches, wondering what went wrong that day. The landscape hasn't changed much. The highways, the cornfields, the old bridges. But the silence feels heavier now, as if the ground remembers what happened there. The alphabet murders changed Rochester forever. Children stopped walking alone. Parents stopped trusting strangers. The city's innocence was gone, replaced by vigilance and grief. But the girls are still remembered. At annual memorials, their names are read aloud. Carmen Colon, Wanda Walkowicz, Michelle Maenza. Each time the crowd falls quiet. People bow their heads, some in prayer, some in anger. Half a century later, no one can say for sure if the pattern was coincidence or deliberate. But everyone agrees on one thing. Someone took 3 children, and justice never came. The killer, if alive, would be in his 70s or 80s now. He might have family, neighbors, a quiet life, a man no one suspects. Or maybe he's gone, buried under a different name, taking his secret to the grave. 3 girls, 3 sets of initials, 3 towns that share their letters. Was it random chance or a coded confession? Until someone cracks the pattern, the alphabet murders will remain one of America's most haunting unsolved crimes. A riddle written in innocence and sealed in silence.